All right, it's 6:30. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Florence City Council, January 16th, 2024. Time is 6:30. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Counselor Van Houten.
Here.
Counselor Stiefel.
Here.
Counselor Mergelman.
Here.
Counselor Gardner.
Here.
Counselor Stone.
Here.
Counselor McKinnon.
Here.
Mayor Wolf.
Here. All right, item 3, presentations. I talked to Kathy earlier. I'm going to slide right in here just to give a presentation and talk about slight changes in the format of our agenda. As you can tell from the agenda, we put presentations in here as number 3. This will be a time where it's an informational time. No action will be required or taken on anything, but it could be items that come from the city staff, from city committees, like the tree board is going to do today. And so that's just the place where we have those type of presentations. And again, informational in nature. Public comment will stay the same. We will be taking meeting minutes and bills allowed and true housekeeping items and putting them under consent agenda. We just talked about how any member of the city council can remove one of them from the consent agenda, and we would vote on it separately after discussion. New business will be, as always, new business will be a place where we will have time for public comment on new business items that come up. And we'll also have council updates as we have before. The other change will be the only thing that will go by roll call vote as required will be resolutions and ordinances. Everything else will be by voice vote, but they will be recorded as to who votes and how they vote. So that's the slight change that we have for the agenda. We just finished up a hour-and-a-half long workshop, and this was part of that. All right, next up, presentation from the Tree Board. Please come on up, Tree Board. Push the button, red to green.
Okay.
Good.
You can hear me now?
Speak loud.
Sort of. Okay. Kathy Young, Florence, Colorado. And do you want me to just read it, Steve?
No, I don't know if you need to read it, but you
Okay.
give the highlights. You just want to give the end of the year, your end of the year report to us.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys have all had a chance to take a look at it. I was actually quite amazed myself when I started listing what our accomplishments were for this year. I was kind of flabbergasted, but that helped spur me on to get to talking about the codes. And we have had a couple of workshops with you guys, new members. This was also an opportunity for us to kind of acquaint you with, here's where we are now, this is what we've done, and here's where we are now. So we met a couple of times with council in the past and talked to them about, well, mostly dead trees and what to do about them. And there's never been a consensus from council about what you guys would like to do about it. There's been some ideas put forward. Steve lately has kind of gone towards a plan of doing a 50-50 program with citizens, so that the city pays for half of the cost of the removal, and then the citizen is required to pay the other half. I don't know if the tree board is exactly wanting to go that direction, but just to acquaint you with, this is where we are now. There are some codes that the city currently is not enforcing, and the tree board, I think, pretty unanimously would like to see the city go ahead and enforce their own codes. I think if we get to the point where the city just goes, it's a code, but we don't like it, that kind of leads us down the wrong path, I think. So we would like to see some action taken there, that the city manager actually starts enforcing the code and notifies people. You know, you've got a hazardous tree that's been identified not only in a very, very, very expensive tree survey that we had done, but it's also been identified that the city of Florence has hazardous trees, and that was identified by the Fremont County Emergency Management Commission. That was 2 years ago now that they identified us as having these hazardous trees. So I don't know. I mean, I want to be proud of our town. I'd like to see us take care of our dead trees and get them down. So we've got a bunch of recommendations at the bottom. In terms of finance, Steve assures me that when you guys look at the budget, you are going to take that $13,500 that was left over in ARPA funds and designate that as being used for trees and sidewalks, perhaps. So I certainly hope that happens. I would like to see us get a grant so that we have some additional monies to address. It's going to be expensive to take these trees down and to get the stumps ground down. So I hope to work with Beth Lenz about that. So I don't know, while I've been gabbing, have you guys looked at it and come up with any questions?
Council have any questions in terms of the recommendations? I know you guys put a lot of work on this. You want to say anything about your trifold? We all have a copy
Yeah, I
of
was
the
going to ask
trifold
you.
here.
Sure, I was going to ask you if you want us to do that at this time. So what we plan to do with the trifold, one of the goals in our master plan that we submitted to you guys last year at the beginning of the year that you adopted was to do a lot of community education. I think one of the reasons that our trees are dying in Florence is because they're not getting enough water. So we did make actually Terry Bernath used to be on our tree board, and she contacted John Haig in Canyon. He's their senior arborist, great guy. He was very willing to share information with us and allow us to print whatever we wanted to print. So there's tons of information in that trifold that gives people that live here information about how to take care of their trees. And a lot of it is very dependent on watering. So what we hope is to take that to the Planning Commission, have it be part of their master plan, and be able to dispense that somehow to the citizens of Canyon.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Next, we have item 4, public comments. Joanne Moore. And please state your name and address.
Joanne Moore, 121 West Front Street. I'm here representing the Florence Farmers Market. This is going to be our 17th year, and I think y'all got a letter, but we need permission to use the park again and for you to waive all of the fees that normally are charged for the park. Any questions on that? No? Here, I'm going to read you some of our everyday things that we do in the park. We partner with the Bell Tower, and they have a booth to help promote their classes at the tower. The Park View traveling nurses come to the park every Thursday to check blood pressure and help people with health questions. And those two gals, nurses, are really good. I mean, people, they got to know the people in Florence by their first names. They're really good. I don't know if you've been there and had it done, but and United Healthcare has set up a booth to help people with questions on Medicare, if they have any. Valleywide Health has a booth set up to answer questions about health issues that maybe people would have. Millie and Margaret come from the Florence Historical Archives to help people with questions they have about family of the area, and they help kind of educate people. And they bring Millie brings her maps and sets up a table, and she has a lot of information. And we also partner with the Pioneer Day Board to help the celebration they have in September. And the Florence Library has Deborah come every Thursday to read books to the young children. And some weeks she has over 25 kids. I mean, and they all gather around on blankets on the ground there and read to them. And then we have our regular vendors come, and we have devoted vendors, and some of our vendors have been with us for 16 years because this will be our 17th year at the park. And at the end of 2023, excuse me, we have donated $22,200. Welcome, thank you guys.
Next, we have item 5, consent agenda. 5A, meeting minutes for January 2nd, 2024. 5B, bills allowed. And 5C, meeting minutes amended for February 6, 2023. Would any member of the council like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do you have a second?
Second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Next, item 6, new business. Resolution 2, 2024. A resolution providing for the adoption of a purchasing policy for the city of Florence, Colorado. City manager, please.
So the purchasing policy document is something that the council has been asking for since I started, and hopefully this meets the needs that you guys have. It provides guidelines for the conduct of efficient purchasing, source selection, competitive bidding, and use of procurement cards. It also provides rules and procedures for these and other items typically associated with purchasing, and includes best practices used by a wide variety of municipal governments. The policy has 11 different sections covering a variety of topics, including the scope, policy statement, responsibility, overview, general provisions, source selection, competitive bidding and awards, purchase orders, change orders, professional services procurement, and the P-card program and emergency purchases. So the policy has been attached in its entirety, and the document has been fully reviewed by both staff and legal counsel.
Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment in regards to purchasing policy? Kathy?
Thank you. Kathy Madonna, 504 Brookway. Thank you for doing the purchasing policy. Appreciate that. What I'm questioning is, are the guardrails in place since we're expanding the limits that people can approve? I want to know what happens when you guys are gone, or Amy's gone, or the good guys are gone, and some bad guys come in. Do we have enough guardrails in place on the purchasing policies to prevent what we had, like with the DRMO and that sort of thing? The other question I had is, you've got $5,000 limits for department heads and $50,000 for you on some search. Is that per year? Is there a limit on the number of times that can take place, and should there be? Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion or questions from the council at this time? I know we just had a workshop on this, and we had some big discussions there.
So, like Mr. Wolf said, we did have a meeting before this and discussed this in pretty good detail. So that's kind of why there isn't discussion now, I believe. But what you guys have put in here, I believe that it is a purchasing policy, that there are some decent procedures and policies to follow, better than we've had in the past, in my opinion. So, thank you.
And I'll state that in this form of government, you know, the guardrails fall a lot with city manager in this form of government. And that's where, you know, you have to trust that you've made a good selection in the city manager, that everybody's following procedures, and then it's the responsibility of the city council to make sure those guardrails are being followed.
When would this go into effect? Immediately?
This will go into effect immediately because you will pass it by resolution. So it is adopted immediately once passed, if the council chooses to pass it.
Do we have any other discussion? Could we have a motion to adopt resolution 2-2024?
I'll make the motion to adopt Resolution 2-2024, a resolution providing for the adoption of a purchasing policy for the city of Florence, Colorado, please.
I'll second that.
Did you get second? Roll call, please.
Counselor McKinnon,
Yes.
Counselor Mergelman,
Yes.
Counselor Van Houten,
Yes.
Counselor Stiefel,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Item 7, council updates. City council reports. We'll start here. Rudel.
I went and represented the city at the monthly mayor's roundtable in Steve's absent. And I also went and attended the Florence Arts Council as part of my rounds.
Okay, thank you. Matt, anything?
No report. I would like to give a big thanks to Public Works. I know they've been pretty busy the last couple days with frozen meters, and I've gotten a lot of compliments from citizens. So good work to them.
Okay, thank you. James?
I do not have anything.
Brenda?
I do not have anything.
Tim? No report. Gail?
I attended City County a week ago this past Monday, and then Preservation will meet the last Tuesday of this month at 4:30 here in council chambers.
All right, thank you. I also attended the city county meeting. Besides the the general information about what's happening in the cities and the county. County commissioners also updated us on upcoming legislation coming out of the state. And, again, the state, after much was voted down, trying to take control of local issues, especially in the area of planning, the state's trying to piecemeal some of that now and take smaller bites. And so they said that's something we need some support from CML, which gave us great support last year. And they gave us just to be aware of that. A lot of times the city of Florence, we're a little bit under some of the population categories and may not get affected as much, but something that I think we need to look at and be aware of. One thing that's coming up, we're going to need a nomination for the E911 Authority Board. And that's something I'll work with the city manager on how we go about that. There will be nominations from, they call them the Florence area municipalities, and that'll be one member. We have to get nominations, send that into the board, and they will pick. And so that's something else that will be coming up probably first meeting in February. I'd like to thank the managers for all their reports. We got their quarterly reports, and they are very, very detailed. And if you ever have any questions about their reports, you just need to go in and ask. Last order of business on my point at this time, I would like to ask the council to approve the appointment of the following people to the Planning Commission, Tabby Slakovich and Paul Villagrana, and to the BOZA Committee, Charlotte Henniger. Could I have a motion to approve those appointments?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
We still have one opening on the BOZA.
What's that?
So do we still have one opening on the BOZA?
Yes, there is one opening on the BOZA, and I believe there's 2 on the tree committee. Okay. All right, city manager report.
So I wanted to draw your attention to a part of my report where, after careful evaluation, staff will be testing a change to City Hall's operating hours in order to better accommodate citizens who are unable to visit City Hall and conduct necessary business during our current operating hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. During this planned 3-month test period, City Hall operating hours will be adjusted to 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. These hours will not be reduced except under extraordinary circumstances or in case of emergency, but may be adjusted slightly as dictated by customer visitation patterns. This change aligns with the city's push to become more accessible for citizens in conjunction with the shift to electronic billing, planned changes to the city's antiquated phone system, and updates to the city's website planned for later this year. The city will be significantly better equipped to meet citizen needs and provide excellent and timely customer service. The change in City Hall operating hours will go into effect on the week of Monday, January 29th, 2024, and will be communicated via signage on the city's website, on social media, and in the Canyon City Daily Record. So this will be a switch to 410s for your administrative and finance staff who run the counter up front. PD is already on an alternative schedule. The water department already works 410s, and at this time, Public Works has elected to remain with 5/8s because they feel that this meets their operational needs better. But the change is intended to give citizens more time to come into the office that's outside of working hours, because that is a complaint we often receive, that we're only open during working hours. So we've extended it slightly.
Thank you. And I know you'll keep us appraised on how that's working. Okay. Are there any questions on manager reports? I just like to point out the kudos that we received in here to the Florence Police Department. I don't know exactly what the situation was or what the incident was, but we received a very nice thank you email for their handling of that situation. Anything else from the council? Okay. Item 8, executive session. Does anybody feel necessary to go into executive session? Okay. All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting adjourned. 6:54. I forgot to tell you that last year.